Good evening, everybody. We're so glad you're here tonight. We know that I always say when people come in, you think, oh, welcome, it's good to see you. And some people say, I don't really want to see you at the Blue Christmas event. And I understand when you're processing through grief, how difficult it can be. My name is Pastor Matthew. Many of you know me, and I want to welcome you to this evening of remembrance. Tonight, we welcome you to a Blue Christmas evening, an evening that is specially designed for those of us who don't feel particularly merry and bright this Christmas. This is somewhere to come if, despite all the decorations, the cards, the music playing in the shops, which by far is too early already, the advertisers who want you to believe that you can buy wonderful, that you don't really feel like much celebrating. Somewhere to come if the idea that have yourself a merry little Christmas isn't really what you feel this year. We hope that you find a safe place to be transparent with yourself and with God, a safe place to admit that maybe you're not okay at this moment, and that maybe you are feeling somewhat sad, discouraged, and sometimes even angry, a place for you to be real with your struggles and with your questions. We gather today as a community, different than other years as we navigate a pandemic, as you all know, but we're still together. Being together is important. An old proverb says, grief shared is halved. And there's truth in that sharing, that when you tell others, when you're with others in grief, it can be so helpful. And so throughout our time together tonight, we want to encourage you to allow your feelings to surface, thoughts and memories about your loved one to come to your mind. Where tears are not feared and where we feel comfortable with each other as we process. Tonight we gather as a community to mourn those who we miss so dearly. We will have the opportunity to remember and to reflect, and so I encourage you, take a deep breath, relax, and give yourself the freedom to enjoy this time. If emotions rise or tears come, we have little packages of Kleenex in your bag as well. And we want you to know that that expression of pain is welcomed here tonight. So in partnership with Serenity Funeral Service, we're excited to welcome some special guest musicians. You'll see here James and Kristen McKnight. James was here in Alberta a number of years ago and then moved back to his, I was going to say your homeland, but that's kind of strange, back to Ontario, where he met Kristen, and they got married, and now they're back here in Edmonton. And when I was looking for somebody for this event, I knew that they would be the perfect fit, as they truly understand the tension that lies when we're processing through grief. And so they're going to share with us some of their music today. And with that, I want to encourage you, as a 19th century Danish author Hans Christian Andersen wrote, where words fail, music speaks. Music has the power to conjure up every possible emotion. It can take us soaring to unimaginable heights, console us in our grief and loneliness, and help us to release our anger and frustration, and bring peace to calm our hearts. So tonight is a space to remember all those Christmases that we're going to miss with those loved ones. And so I encourage you, if you are listening to the music and you're a person who likes the lyrics, you want to read them, you'll be able to see them in your program as well. And so why don't you join us as James and Kristen share their music with us.
We're thankful to be here tonight with you in this space and just spend some time. And this first song is called Souvenirs, a song that looks back at the memory of someone who's passed. Those memories are our souvenirs of our time together. This song for a number of years ago was really important to me when my grandfather passed away. It was kind of one of those songs that was just on repeat over and over again. Here's to the twilight, here's to the memories. These are my souvenirs, my mental pictures of everything. Here's to the late nights, Here's to the firelight. These are my souvenirs, my souvenirs. I close my eyes and go back in time. I can see you smiling, you're so alive. We're so young, we had no fear. We were so young, we had no idea. Life was just happening. Life was just happening. And here's to your bright eyes, shining like fireflies. These are my souvenirs, the memory of a lifetime. We were wide-eyed with everything, everything around us. We were enlightened, everything, everything. And I close my eyes and go back in time. I can see you smiling, you're so alive. I close my eyes and go back in time. You were just a child then, and so was I. We were so young, we had no fear. We were so young, we had no idea that nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Time. I can see you smiling, you're so alive. Close my eyes and go back in time. You were wide-eyed, you were wide-eyed. We were so young, we had no fear. We were so young, we had no idea that nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. I wouldn't trade it for anything. My souvenirs.
This next song has a lyric that says, "We dream, we run, we fight, we fall. These are the things that unite us all." And I think this song speaks to just the common humanity of suffering, and that no matter who we are or where we come from, we all experience death, and it is the equalizer among us as humans. Waiting at the telephone with a single word, she lost her world. Every night a dream of hope. When she wakes, she knows he's not coming home. One thing I know, we dream, we run, we fight, we fall. These are things that unite us all. These are things that unite us all. searching for the antidote. There's a price to pay for hope delayed. Standing in the waiting line for a ticket home, another life if we survive. We dream, we run, we fight, we fall. These are things that unite us all. These are things that unite us all. We dream, we run, we fight, we fall. These are things that unite us all. These are things that unite us all. We breathe until we can't no more. Spend our days searching for a cure. These are things that unite us all. These are things that unite us all.
Thank you so much. We're going to hear back from them in a few moments as well. Forgot to say good evening to our online crowd as well. There's quite a few people joining us on our online platform as well, and we're glad to have them. Tonight I want to lead you through just a kind of thoughtful reflection today. First, about the candle that you see in the center of our whole gathering tonight, and we're calling that the candle of hope. The grief journey is a difficult one. There are days where it seems the pain is so overwhelming, where the loss gnaws at your soul, when it seems that the darkness is all-encompassing. And yet in those difficult moments, I want to remind you that there is hope. Hope in the midst of pain. It's interesting, I chose today not to light this candle in our presence, but to have it lit beforehand, because I believe hope is always burning. I don't think it's something we have to necessarily light. It's always there. And for those of you who have faith today, and that's part of your worldview, Christmas is a reminder that in darkness came a light. And as we journey through this evening, we remember that the first candle lit is the candle of hope. No matter how difficult the journey, there is always hope. The next symbol I want to kind of draw attention to you today is the empty chair. The empty chair represents those who won't be at your Christmas table this year. Perhaps a relationship has ended. Perhaps the people we love will be far away. My goodness, with COVID, they may be close and still far away. Perhaps sickness or death has changed how things used to be. And so today we're going to light our first candle for the empty chair. It's being very stubborn. There we go. Let's take a moment just to reflect on who you're missing today. We pause to remember their faces, their voices, and the memories of them that we hold in our hearts. We thank God for them and ask for comfort. And when we have those feelings that overcome us with sadness, we ask for a peace that is greater than we can ever understand. The second candle we want to light today is also about the empty chair and how it represents the pain and sadness that can come from other events in our lives that are uninvited and unwanted, leaving us reeling in pain and shock, unable to shake the feeling that this wasn't supposed to be this way. And so we light the candle to represent other losses that we find ourselves faced with. The loss of health, of independence, of freedom, the loss of traditional activities due to a pandemic concern, the loss of confidence or security, plans that did not work out, and hopes that ended in despair. As we light this candle, we pause to tell the God who longs to bind up those brokenhearted about some of the losses that you are feeling at this time. The third candle we're going to light is the candle that represents your courage. The courage to face your sadness, to share your feelings with others, your doubts, your fears, your frustration and depression, and dare to hope in the depths of your pain. So as we light this candle, we pause now to tell the God who longs to take you by your hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you, about some areas where you need help in finding courage. And finally, the last candle we want to light today is to remember each and every person who has supported you in your pain. We pause to remember the people who prayed for you, the people who sent you words of comfort and support, and the acts of kindness from your family and friends who stood with you in your time of need. We pause to remember as we light this candle that God sent these people into your life to remind you that you are never alone. Encourage you in these moments as you saw those 4 candles lit and the one of hope. As you watch this video, think again about those moments of courage, those moments of pain, the moments of support, Allow those moments to be refreshed in your mind, again, as you look at this video that just asks the question, what is grief?
So what is grief? It isn't dramatic. It isn't Hollywood. It isn't even scary or supernatural. It's just very simple and real. Like a muted drum, it's numbing and striking. A chillingly normal experience, it just happens. And as it does, it envelops your life in that sharp, singular moment. It's a shocking cocktail of emotions, some that fade, some that grow, and many that thankfully will never leave you. But time has this horrible habit of moving forwards, regardless of your intentions or emotions. And there's an overwhelming feeling of wanting time to just halt. It's an unrealistic expectation for the world to stop spinning and for everyone in it to acknowledge this event, to stop and pay respects to it. And with each day, week, month, birthday, holiday and anniversary, you can't help but hurt at the reality that the world has moved on without this person. All the things they don't get to see, all the occasions you can no longer share, without exception, it feels deeply peculiar and unfair. But what now? The striking thing I remember feeling was that unanswered question ringing in my ears. What happens now? And the truth is, you're just left alone to try and figure it out. There's no ushers to guide you, just you and your loved ones that remain all equally broken and numbed by the unimaginable realities of this event. One moment you're riding this horrific fairground ride of emotions, there's fear, shock and disbelief, and then almost in an instant you're back in your home with real life all around. And that jarring juxtaposition is almost as comical as it is surreal. So pain. Grief is a pain you carry. It doesn't fade with time. You just learn how to bear its weight, like a dark necklace proudly hung from your lapel. I remember you. And every time life reminds you to look at it, the pain is always as raw and as sharp as it was in the first moments. But in time, you learn to look at it, to feel it, and then eventually put that feeling away again to visit on another time. And then the normality of life takes over. You find yourself back in a routine, work, chores, friends, whatever it is, and you remember that you are not grieving, that you are not sad, and bizarrely, you feel bad for not feeling bad. It's a self-fulfilling emotion, and you always feel like you have to force yourself back into the dark, to stare back at your grief and relive it, because if you don't, it somehow diminishes how important they were. I wish more than anything that someone would have told me simply that it's okay to be okay. That the magnitude of them passing isn't judged by how much you cry or how many pieces it breaks your life into, but rather by the memories that you can share. And for me, that's the final part. You'll think and talk, reminisce and romanticize about that person far, far more than you did before this happened. And that is their final and beautiful gift.
This next song is called Valleys, and I remember when James and I were going through a season of great difficulty and heartbreak ourselves. I heard this song for the first time, and I remember sitting on our couch and just crying about it openly. Felt like I could finally be honest and open with God about how things were going.
You bring hope. Oh, waiting, watching, graveyard walking. All these bones are coming back to life. I think I finally reached the end, heartbroken. So I'm waiting here again, eyes open, looking for someone to mend this tired soul. Oh, you bring hope. Whoa. I think I finally reached the end, heartbroken. So I'm waiting here again, eyes open, looking for someone to mend this tired soul. Oh, at Christmas time, there can be this pressure to feel like we need to have everything kind of put together. And we need to be in a good place. We need to be happy. We need to be celebrating. There's a Christmas carol that I think is actually probably written wrong because it says, "O come all you faithful, joyful, and triumphant." But what about when we're faithless, when we're joyless, when we feel defeated? So this next song, I think, gets to the heart of Christmas because God comes not when we're put together and we're ready for him, but God comes and enters into our suffering and our brokenness and our grief, and he joins with us. And so this is a Christmas song that I think is helpful for those times where we don't feel put together for Christmas.
Oh, come, all ye unfaithful, come, weak and unstable, come, no, you are not alone. Oh, come, barren and waiting ones, weary of praying, come, see what your God has done. Christ is born, Christ is born, Christ is born for you. Oh, come, bitter and broken, come, with fears unspoken, come, taste of his perfect love. Oh, come, guilty and hiding ones, there is no need to run. See what your God has done. Christ is born, Christ is born, Christ is born for you. Christ is born, Christ is born, Christ is born for you. He's the Lamb who was given, slain for our pardon. His promise is peace for those who believe. He's the Lamb who was given, slain for our pardon. His promise is peace for those who believe. So come, though you have nothing, come, he is the offering, come, see what your God has done. Christ is born, Christ is born, Christ is born for you. Christ is born, Christ is born, Christ is born for you.
Thank Thank you so much, you guys. Really appreciate their music and their singing. At this point, we are going to take the next few moments to remember the person or the people you are here to remember. This is our 7th annual Blue Christmas, and each year I anticipate this moment because it's the moment we get to honor the person and the people that you are here to honor, and that to me is why we're here. We usually, if you've been here before, we gather around smaller tables and smaller groups, and we stand around and we share our stories, and it's really the part that has been to me the crowning moment of this whole event. But of course, with this year being a little different, usually there are tears and laughter and shared grief, and I believe it's the core of what we do. Yet in the midst of a pandemic, we needed to re-envision the moment. And so in a few moments, I want to invite you to share the name out loud of the person or the people that you are here to remember. I want to encourage you, this is optional. I'm not going to, make you do that. So if you're a shy person, just relax. It's okay. I've been there. But there is something so powerful about speaking that person's name again. And as you speak, we'll encourage you to stand and just tell us the person's name. And after you've done so, we would encourage you to come. And there's, as you'll see, some physically distanced lines. And encourage you to come. And there's a match inside of your bag, just like the ones I was using earlier. And we want to encourage you to light from the hope candle and come over to where you have your person's name and loved one and light a candle in front of them. If there's multiple people who are remembering, feel free to use more than one candle to each use that as a symbol. And then, of course, extinguish your match in that little jar. I want to encourage you to do this because there's something powerful about sharing that person's name and to allow us to hear that name with you. If you're online tonight, we want to encourage you to use the chat feature that is built into our evening. And we would love it if you would just share that person's name, and so others online can see that person's name as well today. And so to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to just kind of start with kind of this section, and then we'll do the middle and then the sides, just so that you don't feel like, when do I stand up? So just kind of here to here. Go ahead. Justice. Thank you. Yeah, come. Yeah, sure. Tell us the name.
Justice.
Yeah. Your son, yeah. Thank you. Just turned 18 in September. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody? Yeah, we remember justice today. Thank you. Anybody else on this side? Yeah, Jasmine. Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else on this side would like to? Dorothy and Warner, thank you. If you don't feel comfortable to share, that's okay. You can come and just light your candle as well. Awesome. Anyone else? Yep. That's okay. Awesome. Did you like to come and light? Wonderful. Okay, anybody else? No, that's okay. Feel free to come and light your candle of memory. I'm going to just now move into this kind of middle section. If anybody here. Victoria and Lloyd, your mom and dad. Thank you for sharing their name with us. Anybody else in this middle section here? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing, Arlene. All right, and then finally in this section over here, we'd love to hear your husband, Chris. Thank you. Mother Mary, thank you. Your mom, Amy Macy. Thank you for sharing. Bill and Joanne Cruikshank, thank you. your grandson. Can you tell us Marlene and Justice and your mom Enid? Thank you. Thank you. I won't light a candle, but mine today is Isaac Joshua Coulomb, and I remember him today. As you look across the table, I don't know about you, but I see a beautiful and yet painful sight. From the candle of hope, we have lit our individual candles as a ceremonial act of remembrance of our loved ones. Ceremony is a powerful tool to continue to access our emotions and to process all that is going on with grief and loss. It gives us a concrete way to physically engage in our grief work. And I, like you, have all attempted to try to navigate the dark valley of grief. And it is normal response for each of us to try to shed light on the path when we're in that valley, to try to make meaning of all that seems so meaningless. And yet we are told that the end result of our grief journey is about acceptance, or even the concept of letting go or moving on. And yet the reality is, I believe that our grief journey never ends in that abrupt dead end of acceptance. One author put it this way: the end point of successful grief work is not the relinquishment of lost relationship, but the creation of a new bond, one that acknowledges the enduring psychological and spiritual reality of someone we have loved and made part of our lives. Did you catch that? Our grief work is not about just acceptance or letting go or even the relinquishment, but it's rather an invitation to create a new bond with that loved one. We realize that the bond we had before is no longer there. It's fundamentally changed, and yet we continue to forge ahead, looking to find that new and enduring connection with that person, while at the same time embarking on a new life. This will look different for each of us. For you this year, it might be that you need to write a letter to your loved one to tell them what's going on in your world. It could be that you need to engage in a project that they loved to do, and by doing so, you will connect with them again. Maybe this Christmas, like this idea of the empty chair, you will set an empty chair at your table for them, and remember that they are still part of your life. You see, the heart is the same. To create an ongoing connection with that person, a new bond. This year, more than ever, has been a difficult year for many. Grief and loss is an experience that we both face personally as those who've navigated the death of a loved one, and corporately as our whole world navigates the loss that comes from a global pandemic. Loss comes in many forms. And tonight we want to honor all that we are experiencing and to respond to the invitation before us. An invitation to realize that our journey with our loved one doesn't end here, but there's an invitation before us to embark on a new bond. So will this Christmas without your loved one be a difficult one? Probably. Will there still be difficult days filled with grief? Yes. But your grief journey doesn't end here. Your loved one is still a part of you, and that bond continues in a new way. And it ultimately comes back to our central candle tonight, which is back to hope. In my journey through the dark valley of grief and loss, I found great solace in the reality that there was a God who cared deeply for me. In the Old Testament, we hear God say these words to his people: "The Lord your God will go with you. He will not leave you or forget you." May you be reminded tonight that you're not alone in your journey. Then in the New Testament, we hear Jesus himself say about himself, he says, "He has sent me," Jesus, "to heal the brokenhearted." His heart is to heal your heart. And finally, Jesus himself speaks about each one of us when we're found in the dark valley of grief, when he says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Can I remind you that the comfort of God is here for you? There's no method of accessing it. You don't need a PhD. All you need to do is reach out. He is often closer than we sometimes know. As we end our service tonight, we kind of have our own tradition here that we've done over this almost, I believe it's all 7 years, where we've closed with this one song. I want to introduce it to you and tell you a little bit about it. It's an older hymn, and it speaks very much to our evening. The hymn is called "It Is Well With My Soul" by Horatio Spafford. This hymn was written after traumatic events in Spafford's life. The first was the death of their only son from the scarlet fever in 1870. Second was the 1871 Great Chicago Fire, which ruined him financially. His business interests were further hit by economic downturn in 1873, at which time he planned to travel to Europe with his family. In a late change of plan, he sent his family ahead while he was delayed on business concerning some zoning problems with the Great Chicago Fire. While crossing the Atlantic, the ship that his family were on sank rapidly after a collision with a sea vessel, and all 4 of Spafford's daughters died. His wife Anna survived and sent him the now famous telegram, "Saved alone." Shortly afterward, as Spafford traveled to meet his grieving wife, he was inspired to write these words as the ship, his ship, passed near where all his daughters died. "It is well with my soul."
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul.
With my soul,
It is well with my soul. The Lord hates the day when my face shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound.
Lord, I come before you today just with a sense of weightiness, God, for each and every candle that's lit tonight on each of these tables. Lord, tonight we could only in this moment share a name. But Lord, these candles lit are far more than a name. These were mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. God, people that enriched our lives and Lord, made us feel alive. And Lord, in this moment, we honor the grief. We honor the pain of what seems so unnatural to have somebody with us one day and gone the next. And Father, I pray for each person in this room today that as they continue to walk through this journey, that this moment tonight will have given them at least a moment to breathe. Lord, a moment to give voice to the people that they will miss so much this Christmas. And Lord, I am reminded of our candle of hope tonight, and my prayer, God, is that you would be present with every person online and in person tonight as they walk through the dark valley, that you would be with them. And I pray that in your name. Amen. We want to thank you for coming out. I always tell people when we light the candle of courage, coming to a Blue Christmas, coming to a night like this is courageous. It's not always easy. And I hope this has been an evening when you've been able to honor and remember that special someone you miss. I want to thank a really good friend, Karen. She's sitting at the back. She helps me plan this event every year and, of course, is here to help decorate and usher, and we do this together. So thank you again, Karen. A special thanks to James and Kristen for their music and the presence they brought. I'm sure you would echo that as well, just the heart behind sharing. And again, a special thanks to Serenity Funeral Home for sponsoring tonight's event. They've been a great supporter of this event because they believe it's important. We want to bless each one of you for coming and draw your attention to just a few things in the bag that we gave you. In the program that has all the words in it, of course, at the end of the program, there are a few things one called the Mourner's Code and the other one called the Grief Credo. I so encourage you to take a moment later to read them and let them speak to you today. Also, by the coffee bar, when you came in, you will have seen many, many of these, and we want to encourage you to take one. We call it a DIY Christmas kit for Christmas Eve, and we encourage you, as you go into your Christmas season, may this maybe bring a smile to your face. And finally, we also want to take note of in your bag, there's a small snowflake Christmas ornament in your bag. These ornaments were made by a local artisan who understands the pain of grief and loss. And the symbol of the snowflake is kind of our symbol here for Blue Christmas, because every snowflake is unique. And as you hang that snowflake somewhere in your house or on your tree, may that remind you of the unique person that you miss this Christmas. And so thank you for joining us this Christmas, and we hope that next year when we can have food and hear more of your stories, you'll return. But we are just so thankful you've come out tonight, and I hope you have a great evening. Thanks for coming.